Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Brandon.
And today we're going to tell you how we felt about Prisoners.
That's right.
Brandon, what happened in Prisoners?
Prisoners is a story about two families who are friends. It takes place over Thanksgiving weekend. And as we can tell from trailers, two children go missing. I would say this movie is as much about one man's humanity as it is about kidnapping victims. We get to see what takes place after these children are kidnapped and what ensues in the police investigation and how things are wrapped up in the end.
Brandon, how did you feel about Prisoners?
I felt like I was part of something inhumane, that I was involved in something highly illegal. This movie really drew me into it. So that's one thing that I really enjoyed about this movie. If you can say I enjoyed this movie,
yeah.
It's tough to say I enjoyed this movie. But I wouldn't say it's likable.
It's not fun.
No, it's not.
But it's not
by any
supposed
stretch.
to be that.
This movie did an excellent job at pulling me in. There were a couple things that pulled me out. But for the most part, it was sucking me in. There was at least one story inside this movie that I had a hard time believing. But then, through the context of the movie, it all became clear, all made sense, and all worked for me.
Can you come up with something you really liked and something you really didn't like?
The best thing I can say right now is something that I liked is how this movie... I want to get something more tangible than... It just pulled me in.
Yeah.
The acting.
Yeah.
The acting was spot on,
Absolutely.
I think, in this movie.
Sure.
Definitely.
Best performance.
We got great performance from Hugh Jackman. We got, what's his name? The other guy. No.
Oh, Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard.
Yeah.
Excellent.
He doesn't get a lot to do, but he's really good.
He's really good at what he does. This is more following the story of Hugh Jackman than anything else.
Absolutely.
This story is a maze. It is absolutely one maze that has a start and it has a finish. Something I really disliked about this movie. What was with Gyllenhaal's twitch?
I didn't even catch it.
He was blinking his eyes all the time.
Did you find it that distracting?
He'd get up in the face of the suspect and he'd be like, "So did you take him?" It would. Oh my goodness!
I didn't even pick up on that.
Wow! And then they're like, "Well, did we pass the lie detector test?" Yeah. Sorry, I'm just distracted. Yeah, you did. It really drew me out. But I don't know if that was part of his character as this young cop who's trying desperately to solve his cases. It's mentioned that he's solved every one of the cases he's worked on, and now he's got this toughest one yet, maybe.
Yeah.
And he's just trying to get through it, and he's wasting away trying to take care of it. He did some really great acting, though. He was spot on for what I know cops to be in certain situations.
Yeah, I thought so too.
And
he was
kind
straddling
of evasive.
the line a lot.
He's straddling the line, evasive of questions, being like, "Sir, we're doing the best that we can. You need to leave this to the professionals." He's a little bit dickish, but they're doing their job. They have a thing to do. So,
what's your verdict?
My verdict is, I'm feeling it.
Okay, Brandon, this one made me feel like I knew who the bad guys were and what the point was until the climax, when it all became so much more complex and so much more satisfying. I'm watching this movie and I'm going, okay, like first act, I'm going, okay, so this is a film about kidnapping and how your kind of classic bad things happening to you or happening to somebody you love can turn you into the very thing that you're trying to track down. And it does that, and then it ultimately is a lot more complicated than that. I really like that. I also like that we have such a... Well, I guess what I was going to say is I like that I thought it was a much more simpler idea than it ultimately was by the end. It's a very complex movie with a lot of wheels turning. It's a very thoughtful kind of film. And it's, it's depressing. Like, let's make no bones about it. This is absolutely
it's dark.
A dark movie and a at times really disturbing sort of film. And it needs to be that. It's nice that every now and again there's a little bit of levity. These are not inhuman characters. There's every not that it's ever laugh out loud funny, but you always feel like these
not
are
for us anyway.
No, but there are certainly times. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. There were some people in the audience that were laughing at torture and stuff, but that I don't know. People are stupid. I don't know. I don't know. Some people find things funny that I don't think they ought to find funny.
We'll go into that anyway. Sorry, I digress.
That's what he's talking about. But anyway, so the thing I liked the most about this movie is how complex and interwoven the mystery is, and that I didn't call whodunit. In the third act, you think you know what's going on, or at least I thought I knew what was going on a lot of the movie. Although it does this thing where I'm always guessing. I'm always kind of second guessing myself, and it did a really good job of misdirecting me, but not in really gimmicky ways.
Right.
When you finally find out who the kidnapper is at the end, who the mastermind, for lack of a better term, is at the end of the film, I found myself thinking, "Wow, I can't believe I didn't call that." And it wasn't a big twist ending.
It wasn't like all of a sudden twist.
It was seeded through the whole movie. And I really like that. Like if this is one of those movies where if I were to go back and watch it again, I would see all of these really interesting connections and pointers and probably foreshadowing moments that I didn't catch in the first place. A thing I didn't like is tough. I really liked this movie. And again, like is a tough word. It's not it's a really suspenseful movie. It's a really cringeworthy movie.
Right.
It's effective in that way. And
there's got to be a better word that we're just not coming up with.
But well, no. I mean, it's effective, and I'm finding it effective through the entire movie. It's likable as a piece. It's good at what it's doing. But what I'm saying is, I'm not having fun because it's not that kind of movie. There's movies like this, and it's doing great at that. And you know what you're getting yourself into. I think from moment one. In this movie, it's and I love, by the way, how it sets everything up with the shooting the deer scene at the beginning, and that without going too far into it, that really sets our themes up really well. It sets up the religious ideas in the film, of which there are a lot. It deals a lot with that and stuff like that. So anyway, I did find myself wondering, and this is something that I might change my mind about a lot the more I think about it. I had this a little bit. I wondered if I really bought that Hugh Jackman's character could go as far as he goes. I in trying to find his kid, that he's capable of the kind of horrible deeds that he does through this movie. I hope this isn't giving too much away, but basically, in order to find the kidnapper, Hugh Jackman himself becomes a kidnapper, and it's very much about becoming your own worst enemy and becoming the thing that you hate because of injustice as a means, that kind of thing. And there's a lot of talk about how he's like always prepared for the worst and that kind of thing, and so he has a little bit of an extreme personality in that he is always worried about, or maybe not worried, but he's preparing himself for some kind of major catastrophe sort of thing. If something can happen. Right. But then he gives his son at the beginning of the movie this big speech about not getting too emotional and about not losing your cool. And of course, the one thing happens to him that could cause him to do that. I guess what I'm saying is, I wasn't sure that I was completely sold that he was any more capable of going to the extremes that he does than Terrence Howard's character, who is not capable of those extremes. I'm not sure if the movie quite made me buy that. But I don't even. But I just gotta think more.
Me.
I just gotta think more about it. I'm not positive.
I know you're still turning your wheels on there. I will say this. I'd like to mention it was interesting to see the would-be kidnapper be the kidnapped.
Right.
That was very interesting juxtaposition.
Anyway, so but no, I'm definitely feeling it. It's a great thriller. It's really good, and I'm not usually into these kind of movies, but I was quite impressed with it. That was great.
Cool.
The atmosphere is brilliant.
Yes.
This movie is doing some really, really great cinematography stuff, and I think probably one of the best things it's doing too is there's a nice, not that we'll go into it, but there's a nice bit of interwoven symbolism. There's this it's one of those films that has well, actually there are a couple items in this film that signify different things, and one of them permeates throughout is an item that one of Hugh Jackman's girls owns that plays both thematically and also as a major story point in the film. And I was really impressed with how that was worked in there. There's a lot going on in this movie.
I'd like to say there were a couple of things that I thought I had called early on in the movie.
Yeah.
Turned out I'd only called them halfway.
Right.
And that was really nice for me. Like you said, this isn't a twist ending. It's pretty much set up all along.
Yeah.
And it makes me say two things. One of which you said was, one, how did I not call that? But two, I'm glad I didn't call that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it really worked in that kind of way that you're taking on a journey. You're taking on Hugh Jackman's journey, really. That's really the journey you're taking on, and you kind of piece things together as Jake Gyllenhaal's character is piecing things together.
You're spot on there. When you're watching a movie about a detective who is trying to solve a case, especially when you're told that detective has solved every case he's ever worked on,
right?
And he can't solve it right away, and in fact, it about breaks him. There's this wonderful moment where the man breaks completely down just before he in the kind of penultimate moment, just before he finally starts to piece things together.
And in that moment, something else happens.
But anyway, the point I'm making is it's great when the movie can actually make us also not call it, because after all, this detective isn't getting it, and so neither should we.
Well, there's all these movies that will tell the audience what the answer is. And
then we have to watch the detective figure out what we know
exactly.
already.
We have to watch them try to figure it out, and we're like, come on, we already know this. You should be able to put this together.
How many Brandon Braga written TNG episodes have we watched to do that? Yeah.
Whoa, more than a few. Well, let's see. Next week, same thing.
Yeah.
Next week.
Well, that's not what I mean. Where he'll set up and tell you everything already.
No, exactly.
And then make Picard or somebody follow all the clues and find out what you know already.
My point is, it's more than just you'll get 3 episodes in a row like that.
Right.
But yes, this was nice at not telling the audience, and then us having to go through what Jake Gyllenhaal is going through. Something that I mentioned earlier that I'd like to mention on camera too is the fact that I kind of have sometimes casting gets in the way of actor roles. Now, if you're a great enough actor, that's great. You bring what you can to your role. It gets in the way of me remembering actors' character names.
Right.
For instance, I don't remember Jake Gyllenhaal's name in this movie.
It's Loki. It's Detective Loki.
Oh, okay. Loki. What about Hugh Jackman's? You remember his?
Not right off.
But the kid, I had no idea who he was beforehand.
Right.
His name was Alex in the movie. Okay, that's where I go with these things. But you're right. That should be a little bit more memorable because it was Loki. That's a memorable name.
Guess, yeah. A lot of the time I'll watch a movie like this and I won't actually walk out of the theater remembering characters' names until I've seen it 2 or 3 times.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I thought I thought Hugh Jackman was brilliant.
He did a great job.
I thought Jake Gyllenhaal was standout in this. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, Jackman's fine. Don't get me wrong. Right. But I will say that I feel like Jackman was not necessarily the only actor that could have pulled that role off. Jake Gyllenhaal really came together for me in this one. I kind of felt like he was that guy. He was the guy. I couldn't really imagine anybody else playing that role. And I thought
couldn't either.
He really
was
owned
the cop.
And then for a story thing, I felt like Gyllenhaal's character and Jackman's character had really good paralleling character arcs, where this case is for the both of them kind of making them cross lines and turn into things that they don't like, that they're turning into. Not that Jake Gyllenhaal necessarily goes too far over the edge or anything, but he just, and I mean, like Jackman does. That's his whole thing. I mean, yeah, like he breaks a few rules here and there, but I kind of like that they let him do that actually, because I sort of would expect that in this extreme of a case he would have, and anyway, but what I'm saying is, as far as kind of paralleling dual character, first of all, this is a dual protagonist movie. This is not just Jackman's character's movie. Right. It's also Gyllenhaal's character.
It is.
They give them equal screen time, and they let those characters really breathe. You know, they give us a lot of time with both of them, and they have kind of their own paralleling stories.
Well, you could say Jackman's character is doing his own investigation, and we're just seeing...
Yeah, exactly. And one of these guys is doing it by the letter of the law more than the other one, obviously. Yeah.
In that sense, it's almost good cop, bad cop.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
I like
that they're not actually working together.
Right, and they're not one of them's actually not a cop.
I sort of expected that there would be a point where the two of them would like get together and start trying to solve the case together, and I was really glad.
I'm glad that never happened.
I don't think that would have worked.
That would have killed the vibe.
Yeah.
Because they're independent bodies for sure.
But what I'm saying is, you see what is most important to Hugh Jackman and what is to his character, and what is most important to the detective's character, and and Jackman feels like he's already lost the thing that is most important to him, and he's trying to find it, and so that's why he goes as extreme as he does. Gyllenhaal's character, all he really cares about is his work, and there's actually some nice talk subtly in an undercurrent about how he doesn't really have a life outside of work.
How he's married to his work, really.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so that's why the case gets to him as hard as it does. It becomes as important for him to find these girls as it does Jackman. And anyway, I really like that. It's solid.
One of the last things I'll say is the ending worked for me.
Yeah, and it's one of those cool kind of ambiguous endings, but not so ambiguous that it's like it could be this thing or this really opposite thing. You know, it's not like that. It's you kind of can piece together enough when you get to the very end that you sort of have a bit of an idea of what happens, but it's ambiguous enough that it's kind of fun to not know exactly what happens at the very, very, very end, because it's not important. You know, we get we get what we need.
We get our closure as far as the storyline goes.
Yeah, and that's all that matters. You know,
and it becomes apparent that that's all that matters. This was a...
Well, I think it says a lot, without giving away what the ending is. It says a lot about Jackman's character.
It does.
When you get to the end and you don't know exactly what happens after that scene, it tells you a lot about that guy.
It does, definitely. And the like you said, there are a couple of symbolism things that appear throughout the film. It does come together quite nicely.
I thought this was quite sophisticated. Actually, I was really impressed with it. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I suggest anybody who likes suspense thrillers and doesn't mind something really kind of dark. But it really earns its darkness. That's what's so great. There's nothing gratuitous about it. It just really earns that.
Definitely. I had zero expectations on this film.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I didn't know what I was getting into other than the previews that I'd seen. In fact, I had to rewatch the preview just to remind myself exactly what this movie was about.
Yeah.
Because you said, let's go to Prisoners, and I'm like, oh, which one was that again?
Yeah.
I was thinking it was Escape Plan for a second, but I was like, no, that's Escape Plan. It's nice to go to something a little bit smaller, a little more intimate. That's not like one of these big blockbuster cash cow kind of things. That's really much more interested in telling a story than it is getting butts in the seats. And it's refreshing to see something like that after a lot of these big moneymaker kind of movies that we've seen lately. And those have their place and they're fun. But boy, it's nice to get just a really good grounded story. This would have been as good as a novel as it was as a film. Oh, sure.
And I don't know if it was based on anything. I didn't look that up, but I'm just saying that, like, this would have made a very compelling 300-page novel. I thought it made a really compelling film.
Now, keep in mind that we're still thinking about things in the film now, even as we talk.
Oh, yeah.
Things that there's so much there. This is one I I might not go see it in the theater again, but I'll definitely revisit it.
Revisit it. Yeah.
Absolutely, this is one that I'd get when it comes out and watch again.
I need more time with it, and I want to study it some more. And I love a movie that I can really sit down and study and look at the nuances. And
there are also a couple things we were discussing. I'm wondering if maybe there's not, I don't know, far-fetched, but there might be a deleted scene somewhere that might tell something about what we were talking about earlier.
With regards to what?
With regards to one of the characters, and we didn't understand one piece of the puzzle.
Oh, you mean from what we were talking about before the thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, possibly. I don't know.
Maybe.
No. You know what, though? You could be right about that. And honestly, the people watching right now won't even know what we're talking about.
Exactly.
But I'm not really worried about deleted scenes on this. I feel like some of that, it wants you to piece together. And I think it gives you enough to kind of figure it out. But anyway, I just need more time with it. You know, something we didn't talk about that is kind of important, though, is it is a long movie.
Oh, definitely. I had no idea. I didn't look up times beforehand. Looks like it was about 2.5 hours.
Yeah, it was about 2.5 hours, and I will say I feel like maybe there are some beats that aren't real important that could have potentially been cut, but at the same time, I appreciate that it takes its time and breathes a lot, and you I don't know, you feel the realism of it. A lot of this just feels real.
It's not one scene after another. They actually have this movie does well with its breakings between scenes. You have a few things that'll be like more of a longer scene. They'll be set in different places, but they'll kind of all be one spot of the story. And then it takes a breath. It pauses with a black screen before we go on to the next thing.
I thought it was really well paced.
Really
it was deliberately
definitely
paced.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, anyway, thanks as always for watching us review a new movie. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Brandon.
And we'll see you next time.